All right, I'm going to take a look here at the Florida State defense versus Syracuse. Just specifically, the defense, offense was really disappointing, and maybe I'll take a look at that later. But I thought the defense did some good things overall in the game. So we'll take a look at some play-by-play here and see how much I can get through. Just before we start looking at the specifics of the play, you'll notice just how aggressive the scheme is this game as well. Through the first three games of the season now, this has just been an extremely aggressive defense, really surprising. We know that Coach Barnett comes out of the quarters scheme and philosophy, but what he's shown through the first three games has been a defense that is structured and quarters as its base, but offers a variety of things they like to do up front and on the back end as far as mixing up coverages, bringing pressure from all over the field. Just a lot of variety, a lot of different things they can do. And he definitely wants to get after it, be super aggressive, get these guys playing fast and downhill. So you'll see that this game too. Looking at the first play, you can already see that he does have a field pressure called, bringing the star linebacker um, off the edge. And you can see Syracuse has some type of counter play here. They're pulling the guard and tackle to the field. Um, and with the blitz, FSU has their field end coming inside. So Burns does a pretty good job here getting inside the initial puller. What we're going to see here, it looks like the Mike linebacker, D-Jack, is going to overrun his gap a little bit. He needs to scrape a little tighter here and fit to the inside, the A gap. You can see they've got the outside taken care of with two force defenders there. Um, Burns, like we said, is gonna get inside, work to spill it, but because D-Jack overruns, there is a crease there for the running back to pick up a nice gain. Tempo by Syracuse all game. So Florida State brings another pressure on second down. They're going to cross the Mike and the Will linebacker on the inside and stunt these interior or slant these interior defensive linemen to the outside. And you can see they're going to roll to a middle of the field look, cover three look where the corners are bailing. Free safety is going to roll to the middle of the field. They cover up Dungy, the quarterback's initial options to the field, pretty well. You can see with that Burns is actually going to drop and play some coverage here as they rush for. The D into the boundary is going to give up contain here. J Rob, he gets off the ball pretty well, but does let the quarterback get outside. Like to see him keep that in the pocket. But everything covered up pretty well downfield. Third down, another pressure, so three straight blitzes by Florida State. They are going to roll again to a middle of the field. This is a covered three look where they look to be actually blitzing the Will linebacker, and you can see they're actually dropping the two defensive ends into coverage. So pretty neat look there. Ends up just being a four-man rush. Actually, they're going to bring both backers, drop the two ends. That's most likely a check that they do versus an empty look by Syracuse, where with this pressure they'll drop the ends into coverage. Pressure doesn't really get there. Can see that FSU is still working to become a better blitzing team. They do blitz a lot, but they're not necessarily effective blitzers yet. They are trying to disguise this somewhat, but it does just take a while for the blitz to get there. Syracuse is able to pick it up pretty easily. You'll see the two blitzers kind of end up going to the same spot and not really working off each other. Brooks needs to work off the blitzer's butt here and come inside. So not really an effective blitz there. They are able to find a little hole in the zone, which will happen sometimes. When you play this type of defense where you're going to blitz and play zone behind it, you're counting on the blitz to get there with your coverage defenders reading the quarterback, so eyes on the quarterback. If the blitz doesn't get there, then a lot of times that quarterback's going to be able to find some holes in the zone, find his receivers in some holes, which he does there. You can see with the hole there, Dungy's kind of expecting this receiver to work inside a little more to it. Doesn't quite get there, so despite not really getting a lot of pressure. It's not a great throw and catch by Syracuse. So not too bad on the first drive for the defense. I'm going to skip ahead to the second series for the defense here. So it looks like we got 11 personnel from Syracuse. This is a base formation from FSU. It looks like they are going to roll to a single high coverage. When you see these corners playing a bail technique like this, a lot of times, most of the time, it tells you they're in a cover three look. So they're going to turn and run right at the snap so they can take their eyes on the quarterback and play a deep third rather than a man-to-man concept. So Florida State has another pressure called. So this is 4 plays for the defense and 4 blitzes. This time they're bringing the will linebacker on the boundary and knifing the boundary in to the inside, playing cover 3 behind it. It's a pretty good call for Syracuse versus this look. The play action kind of freezes the star linebacker. Because of the pressure, he's probably not reading the mesh point, probably not reading run to pass. He doesn't have that run first responsibility with this look, doesn't appear. But they are able to find a little soft spot in the zone there to the field. You'd like to see the corner play this a little bit more to the inside where he can kind of split these 2 defenders. He's a little wide there initially, and would be the number 20 there could probably get a little bit more depth in his zone drop. That play action does kind of freeze him a bit. So again, it's pretty good call versus pretty good call for the offense versus what FSU has dialed up pressure wise and coverage wise there. Okay, so empty look here. You can see pre-snap this formation. This is something that the previous team, Sanford, ran against Florida State. It's an empty look, but they have 3 receivers bunched to the hash to the field with another receiver out wide. And what they like here is that this outside receiver will pull the corner out, and you can get some numbers here to the bunch to get this blocked up and kind of get the edge sealed. And FSU appears to be playing like a cover 2 look, which is the same thing they did versus this look last game versus Sanford. Sanford was able to do the same thing and get some numbers here. Luckily, it's not a great throw by the quarterback. Taylor does a pretty good job here setting the edge and forcing it back inside, but you can see there are pretty good numbers here as far as what Syracuse has blocked up. What Woodby needs to do is not get sealed here as well. He needs to be working to the outside a little better. Here, right away, he should be attacking the outside pad of the blocker and trying to get that turned back inside. So again, kind of catching a break by not a great throw and the receiver falling down. They probably have some numbers here if that doesn't happen. You do like to see the defense run into the ball, which look at that. That's pretty good right there. All of them getting to the ball quick. So the hope is you can get it turned back inside to all these guys running. All right. I think we're up to 5 or 6 plays here by the defense and 5 or 6 pressures. Blitzes called. So another blitz by the defense. I think it's 6 plays so far and 5 blitzes, if I'm looking at this right. So here again, this is the middle linebacker cross blitz that they like to call. Again, what they do here, just to kind of break down what's happening with this call, they're going to take these 2 interior linemen and slant them to the outside, and they're going to take these 2 backers and cross them on the inside. What they're hoping to do for some of these zone run plays is mess with the blocking schemes up front. And kind of pull these linemen off their zone tracks to create some creases for these guys to run through. Now, when you do this, sometimes you can actually get gapped a little bit and create a crease for the running back to run through. So what FSU will do is take this boundary safety and ask him to come up and play the run to fill any open gap that might happen with the movement that you've got going on up front. So as they do this, you can see it's not timed up real well. Brooks gets there pretty quickly, but D-Jack is somewhat hesitant. And here's the crease that's opened up. All right, so Westbrook does come up and fill pretty nicely. Your defensive tackle here does slant and does a good job of staying pretty square and working back to the inside to close that space. Westbrook, you'd probably like to see him get there a little quicker, but he does do a good job of getting up and making the stop, kind of minimizing the gain. 3rd and 5, you got just an undisciplined play here by your D end who's going to jump off sides. Absolutely cannot happen on 3rd down. That really cost him. And is going to give 1st down for Syracuse. A little run play here to start on 1st down. Looks like maybe some type of power play. I think they pull a guard here and lead with the H-back. Yeah, so that's a pretty interesting play there. They're going to pull the guard to kick the end and then lead through with the H-back. Pretty good job here by Florida State. So if it's a power play, there's some type of double team happening here. D-Jack does a nice job of scraping over, seeing the pull. And your D tackle, I think that's Big Marv, is holding his ground well right at the line of scrimmage, not giving any ground. You'd like to see him play with a little bit lower pad level, but nevertheless, he does a good job there. And he's actually able to make the play there despite being double teamed. So that's a pretty good job there by your D tackle. Syracuse comes back to this empty look. Again, it's a numbers game here, and they can get what they want out on the edge here on the hash there. Woodby again's got to keep contained here. One thing Florida State will do later in the game is adjust to this some and actually let this corner play a little bit more aggressive and come inside immediately to take away this outside crease that Syracuse is trying to get. So they'll do that later and actually force what should be a fumble. It ends up getting overturned, which in my opinion was a bad call, but that's one adjustment Florida State will make later on in the game. Again, here it looks like Syracuse does have numbers if they're able to get this pass completed. Luckily, Burns is really athletic, makes a good play. You can see they have it blocked up pretty well with the double team at the point of attack right there. But FSU makes a play up front onto the line of scrimmage with the deflection. Okay, 3rd and 8. This is FSU's 3rd down defense. Looks like some type of 3-down lineman. I think they have 3 backers on the field here, 3-down linemen, so more of a 3-3-5 look. You can see it's man coverage, and if I remember this correctly from watching it live, Syracuse checked at the line, so they were able to get up to the ball, see what Florida State was going to be in defensively, which very clearly is man-to-man, and they're going to check to a mesh concept, a man beater. And a bit disappointing. You'd like to see with the check at the line of scrimmage, you'd like to see FSU either check their defense or communicate a little better and expect some type of man beater route combination like this. But they don't adjust. Taylor can't really keep up with the mesh. I believe he's probably expecting some help here with that crosser. You can see Florida State drops two backers here. And they're able to cross them up in man coverage. In my opinion, this backer should be taking that crosser. He should help, and they need to communicate that here. You can see Taylor kind of making a hand signal like he's expecting something. So not great communication there by Florida State. Also, whatever pressure or twist they're doing up front doesn't get there. If you look, this is another example of FSU not really being an effective blitz team quite yet. They end up with the two defenders in the same place on the blitz, and they're actually looping Burns here around, and he's kind of slow to get there. Not real good chemistry up front here working the blitz. You'd like to see those guys cross and not run into each other, and then Burns should have a smooth loop track around, but just not able to get there. All right, 1st down here, another power play for Syracuse. They're able to get a few yards. Let's see what happens here. Looks like it's another pressure called. They're going to actually blitz the money linebacker off the edge and knife the defensive end into the B gap. So you'd like to see your D end here keep coming. So this D end is on a slant to the inside. He needs to continue to work inside here. So when you slant the defensive lineman, you want them to go. So he's got to rip through that and keep coming. Pretty good job by your Mike linebacker. So the Mike here is reading the center down blocks. He should see the puller off the down block. The Mike should see the puller off the down block and scrape. Because the defensive end doesn't really work all the way inside, this tackle is able to get up on the Mike. But D-Jack does a pretty good job of taking that on and keeping his inside pad free. Sometimes that's gonna be something you'll have to do is take on a blocker with one pad and still make the tackle with that opposite arm. That's a pretty good job by D-Jack there, fighting through that. And boom, taking that on, not giving ground, playing with good leverage, disengaging and making the tackle. So this could probably be a smaller gain if your DN does a better job. But good job by your Mike linebacker there. Okay, looks like we might have a counter play here, more heavy personnel from Syracuse. They're going to run the quarterback. All right, so they're going to pull the guard, lead with the H-back. They're going to try to kick out here with the other H-back and actually lead here with the running back and have a quarterback run. Pretty good job by, I believe that's Kando, making this first blocker miss. They're able to get some pretty good movement right there on our D tackle. I think this is Fred Jones. He gives up a little bit too much ground there. And you can see Syracuse does have some numbers here initially. It's a pretty good look for them. This guy's going to miss. Kando's able to stay square and make him miss. So this is not real good by Cuse. Pretty good job by the linebackers for Florida State coming downhill and getting their keys and triggering. But they do have numbers here. So Woodby does a nice job taking that blocker on with his inside pad, forcing the ball back inside. But you can see that they've got a lead blocker for D-Jack here. That running back wants no part of it though. So this should be a block, running back on linebacker. He just totally whiffs. Really poor by the Syracuse running back. One more look. He doesn't do his job at all. D-Jack's able to come up, be the aggressor, and make the tackle. So schematically, pretty good call by Syracuse. Florida State does a good job of countering it by making one guy miss, having their linebackers trigger downhill, and then being the aggressors. But really, really not a good job by Syracuse either. Third down, Cuse goes fast, and they're able to get the ball out to the perimeter before FSU can get their third down defense on the field and get lined up. Good fight by Taylor on the outside, always at a size disadvantage. FSU is able to fortunately get the stop, but then they screw themselves by just a really stupid personal foul penalty by the safety there. That's going to give them the first down. So that's two critical errors by the defense on third down this drive. So discouraging, but also something that you would hope to be able to clean up as time goes on. Right there, he throws him. Camera cuts off, but it's a bad penalty. Okay, so first down here again, Syracuse driving. And looks like they're showing, Florida State's showing another pressure. Okay, so they bring 6 on this play. It looks like 6-man pressure is a hot pressure is what they call it under Coach Barnett. This is part of his package they ran at Florida State. So they're going to actually bring 6 people on a blitz, drop 5 into coverage. With that, it means we're going to play a 3-deep coverage with 2 defenders underneath. So these 2 corners are going to drop and play a deep third. You've got a middle of the field defender back here, and then these 2 defenders are going to play this intermediate hot level. So each of them should work to the hash, keep their head on a swivel. They're going to read quarterback to immediate threats. and play just only two defenders to cover this entire intermediate to short level of the field. So you can see again, the blitz is not timed up real well. They do kind of want to disguise it, but the quarterback already has the ball and looking downfield before the blitzers are even past the line of scrimmage. So they need to continue to get better at timing this up. Okay, so as this develops, see the pressure's still not there. The quarterback is able to get the ball out pretty quickly before there's any pressure in his face. Now they have a nice call versus this. They've got an underneath option with only two underneath defenders from Florida State. What you'd like to see here, this is something that they just need to continue to rep and get better at. Let's go back pre-snap real quick. So from the formation, these two pre-snap, these two defenders need to know who their threats are. D-Jack is going to be dropping to the field hash, so he should know I have 1, 2, 3. 3 immediate threats in that order, 1, 2, 3. So as I drop, I'm going to drop, read the quarterback, and then know where these threats are. So he drops, okay? Number 3, or the first immediate threat, does not go into a route, so now it's down to 2. Number 2 goes on a vertical pattern, which is not his concern, so he should immediately see what number 1 is doing. You can see as he drops, he is looking more at the quarterback, is not really aware of this receiver coming underneath, so there's a lot of space there. That space should be a lot smaller. He should be more aware of what that receiver is doing as he gets into his drop. That's kind of why there's a big hole there, big space. Something you hope they'll get better at as they become more familiar with their roles on these hot pressures. You'd like to see that D-Jag get him to the ground too. That's a linebacker on a receiver. You want to stop him in his tracks and not let him get that gain there. FSU getting a little tired, not quite running to the ball. All right, some more heavier personnel. Looks like 21. Syracuse is going to run a power play. So they're going to get some double teams here, block down, kick out, and wrap with a pulling guard. FSU has a corner blitz here, which is going to force this running back to stay tight. Pretty okay job, I guess, here at the point, taking on this double team. That's too high of a hat, and he needs to play lower so he can use his leverage and not get moved off the ball, can hold his ground. Whoever this is here is doing a pretty good job of taking on the kick out block and not giving up ground. The less ground he gives up, the smaller the space for the running back and the puller to run through. But because of how Florida State's aligned, the double teams, they hold their blockers versus the double teams, and the Mike backer, D-Jack, is going to be able to scrape free, untouched to the ball. And that's a good job by D-Jack on that, to scrape, dip inside the kick-out block. All right, this guy should be, excuse me, not the kick-out block, the wrapper. This pulling guard is looking for him, but D-Jack's able to stay tight in his scrape and work right inside of it. You can see the difference here between the two backers. This backer here, he should be getting a quick run key and fitting right away, but he's slow to get that key compared to D-Jack. He's still flat-footed as the ball is being handed off. You'd like to see him coming downhill a lot quicker. But good job by your Mike backer there. Looks like another power play. Hard to see what's going on there. It's the same concept, same idea that you want. Got your linebackers coming downhill a little quicker on this one. All right, they're coming downhill a little quicker. They got your safety up in the box this time. Harder to tell what's going on based on the angle there, but it's just a power play, and FSU is able to take on blocks, hold their ground, and flow to the football. Third down, I think they run power again here, third time in a row. Yep, just heavy personnel. You can see the Mike backers free to the ball again. So FSU's loading up with their heavy personnel. They've pretty much got everybody covered up here on the offensive line, which is a good sign because they'll take on the blockers, and these guys can flow free to the ball. They just need to get good keys, be aggressive, and trigger downhill with efficient movement. D-Jack does a nice job of that. You can see Burns is actually playing a stand-up linebacker here, something he's not really that comfortable with, most likely, since he's a defensive end. So he's a little slow to get his read. But D-Jack scrapes and is untouched to the ball. Nice job of finishing on that one. So through the first two drives, seeing some good stuff from the defense. You see two dumb penalties that really hurt him on that second drive, but Syracuse was adamant to run power at them once they got in the red zone and near the goal line, and FSU did what they should do. They held up versus those three straight power plays to force a field goal. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to do another series for the defense. Don't feel like watching the offense. This is something you don't see every day. The ball is rolling on a punt to put Syracuse in deeper position. And inexplicably, the Florida State player grabs the ball as it's rolling. So that happened. Looks like the TV did not catch this first play in which they were able to pick up some yards with the quarterback run, I believe. Not sure what happened there. So here's the next play. First down again, obviously. Another pressure by Florida State from the field. Man, that's a good job by your corner. Looks like they're actually playing a cover 3 look, not cover 2, but Myers is able to read the quarterback and see that ball come out quick and immediately set the edge. Actually beat the blocker. Man, that's a great job by Myers to react. Take it on with his inside pad. He's going to use a little dip and rip move to free himself of that blocker. And he's going to stay square to keep contained, not let the defender get outside of him, force it back inside. It's probably getting held or at least blocked in the back on that play, but that's a really good play there. You would like to see your will linebacker be a little more athletic and trigger quicker. He's kind of hesitant. Ugh. He needs to go, right? He needs to run to the football. He needs to get there quicker. He needs to close the space. Trigger, close the space. He should be here by now with his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. He's got it. They've got the ball turned back inside. He's got to close on the inside hip, stay square, and finish. He's just really hesitant, which actually makes the tackle harder. If he'll go now, he'll have the help of his teammates. He'll close the space and make it harder on the receiver, the ball carrier. Another blitz. Field pressure again. This time, instead of knifing the defensive end inside, they're going to actually take the star, send him inside, and loop the defensive end to the outside. This is just a well-timed call for Syracuse to get that out. Well, I don't know if I should say that. It's actually a good call by Florida State. It's aggressive versus the run with the blitz called. It's disguised pretty well. They're going to actually roll the coverage and have the free safety play over top the slot. You can see he's actually in a great position to defend this RPO play. He just gets there a little early. And I think it's a questionable call. I can't see it all that well. I mean, he's there early, but how much contact is really made? You know, I'm not sure about the call. That's a good look, though, at a way that Florida State can combat these RPO plays with their scheme. All right, so it's a blitz call. It's pretty much forcing the quarterback to pull the ball and throw, and you're rolling your safety to play over top of that late to take it away. So kind of a bad break for Florida State there. I think that this is another blitz by Florida State. It is. They're bringing both backers. That classic backer blitz that we've seen, loop the two defensive tackles to the outside, cross up the backers on the inside, roll the boundary safety to fill the extra gap. This is, again, that different type of power play that we're seeing from Syracuse. They'll pull the guard. It's very, very interesting. I don't know that I've seen this. They start it on what looks like a split zone trap by the H-back, but then he actually pulls back and leads through on power. It's very interesting. So they're clearly trying to mess with the backer keys here. Luckily, Florida State's just got a blitz called, so they're not really keying as much as just triggering right away. It's a great job by Marv, your defensive tackle. He's got an initial stem. He's going to work back to the inside. Pretty good defense there. All right, play action for Syracuse. I think it's another pressure by Florida State. Yep, they're bringing the Sam and the Mike here, playing a single high coverage. So this is, again, one of their hot pressures. They're going to send 6 and drop and play three deep and 2 under. So here to the boundary, they're going to run a stop route. Your corner's playing a bail technique, so he is going to drop, turn and run. He's reading the quarterback, so he needs to do a better job here of reading the quarterback's shoulders and eyes. You can see Dungy's opened up with his shoulders on a flat plane, which for the corner, that tells you he's going to throw the ball on a shorter route or a stop route here to the outside. So you'd like to see him throttle down the corner, throttle down earlier here, and play that a little tighter. So he needs to do a better job of reading the quarterback there and playing that a little better. But it is a tough guard on bail coverage, guarding the stop route, but you'd like to see him do that a little better. Looks like it was probably a legal man downfield by Syracuse. It's good to see that getting called. All right, so you have your backup star in the game here. It looks like FSU's trying to get a blitz call again, but he's really late to see it and go. So that's disappointing. He's late to blitz, so it's essentially like there's no blitz called. Syracuse has a screen to the running back to the boundary called. Florida State's defensive line does not do a good job of recognizing the screen. So it's a well-timed call by Syracuse, as the defensive line and Florida State's defense as a whole has been really aggressive all game. Still would like to see these D linemen peel off a little better and recognize the screen. Man, Florida State's able to use a receiver to crack down on the. I'm sorry, Syracuse is able to use a receiver to crack down on the linebacker here and really get him sealed. You'd like to see your backer do a better job of not getting dominated by a receiver on a block. Good hustle by Fred Jones here to almost make the play. Good job by Taylor. This is his job to take on that blocker and turn this back inside to the rest of the defense. So this is a combination of a well-timed call by Syracuse, poor blitz by Florida State with a backup in the game, poor job by the defensive lineman of recognizing the screen, poor job by your play side linebacker here, not getting off the block. Now I should say, your corner here should be communicating to the backer once he sees this crack release that it's coming. So it seems like that didn't happen, or he didn't hear it. He's got to let him know that crack's coming, and he's got to be up to replace it right away. So you'd like to see him come up quicker too. Corner come up quicker on that crack. So here's what I referenced earlier. Syracuse, you can't really see it because of the camera job here, but this is that empty formation that they've now ran 3 times. Here's the adjustment Florida State made. They told the corner, you can blitz now. You can come inside the blocker and blow that up. And he does that. He's able to force a fumble. Watching it live, I thought it was a catch and fumble, but they reviewed it and didn't give it to him. Didn't like the call. Good adjustment by Florida State. This is still the first quarter, and this is only the third time Florida State's seen this play, and they've already got an adjustment for it, so that's encouraging. All right, you can see a good look at it there. Looks like a catch to me, but oh well, don't get them. Don't get the call all the time. Skip ahead here. All right, so 20 personnel, actually looks like 21 personnel. They're going to motion here. Florida State's pressure is finally going to get there. This is another one of their hot pressures, so sending 6, playing 5 in coverage. All right, there's your 2 underneath defenders. These 2 are playing deep thirds. Let's see what happens up front to get the pressure. So this time it's a similar pressure they've been using. They're going to loop these D tackles to the outside, bring the linebackers inside. As your D tackle to the boundary loops, nobody picks him up, so he's free. Burns uses speed around the edge, come up with the sack. All right, 3rd and 21. FSU is just going to rush 4 and play coverage. Looks to me like it's another single high coverage. So here's another example of Hamza 23 not really doing a good job in the open field. All right, so these are some intermediate coverage defenders here. He needs to know where his help is, right? He's got his help 3 defenders, 2 at the least to the inside. So his number 1 job is to keep that ball carrier on his inside pad, not let him get outside. So he's square to start. Let's let it play a little bit. You can see that he did not keep him on the inside. He's got too far to the inside, so Dungy has taken that space that he's given him. He's got to get to the outside here more, stay square, and force it back inside. Not great. It's a difference between a 5-yard gain and a 10-yard gain, but it makes a big difference as far as field goal range and just where you're at on the field. All right, that's about 40 minutes in on the first 3 drives. I'll go ahead and stop there.